What's going on, everybody? Episode number 3, Street Talk. This week, we got some things to cover from last weekend all the way up to this weekend. So stay tuned. About R.Kelly, I'll give an update on Jussie Smollett. I'm going to talk about some of the new music coming up. Stay tuned for that right now. All right, first up, what I want to talk about, R.Kelly. This has got to be one of the biggest falls from grace I think we've ever seen. The man in the late 90s, early 90s, and even the early 2000s had the world at his hands. Such hits as I Believe I Can Fly for the Space Jam soundtrack and other street hooks like he had out there. You Remind Me of Something, Down Low, some of the other joints that he had out there coming out into the 2000s. He had The Chocolate Factory and all these collabos out there. Everybody wanted to work with R.Kelly. I was a fan myself. Coming from the Chi-Town area, I was a fan. That's what it is. You make good music, I wanted to check it out. Over the course of the last coming years, his music just, I feel like, turned into something that I just wasn't into. It really took it to another level. The provocativeness of it was just kind of gross, honestly. So he beat his case in 2008 when it came to sexual misconduct with supposedly some underage girls. And we all know about what happened with Aaliyah and stuff like that back in the day, rest her soul. So he beat that case, came out of that clean, still continued to make music. Not very good music, but he still made music. Now, 2019, after the documentary came out, Surviving R. Kelly and all that, the man is a hot mess. So last weekend, he finally turned himself into Chicago PD, spent the weekend in jail. Judge set the bond at $1 million. In the state of Illinois, you post 10% of that, you can get out, go home, you get your money back on your next court date. So he had to come up with $100K to get out of jail. And he spent the weekend in jail because he couldn't come up with that $100K. You're talking about a man who over the course of years has made millions in the music industry, millions. And he can't come up with $100K. So his lawyer came out with a statement, said his finances were kind of a mess. He was having a hard time finding the money to put together, this and that. There was some back and forth at a press conference. His lawyer got into it with some of the reporters because his lawyer was calling these women liars. And I don't know what's true, what's not. Obviously, this is all alleged. But we definitely don't want to get ourselves into the habit of where all of a sudden we don't believe victims that are coming out saying these things. They're saying these things for a reason. Now, if it comes out in the future that it wasn't true, that it wasn't, then you can handle it at that time. But to call these women liars to their faces as they sit in the courtroom and shed tears at the sight of this man and what he has done to them, it's not right. So he got into it with a reporter. Reporter told him that he's not Michael Avenatti, who is the lawyer who is prosecuting R. Kelly, who supposedly has this video, a new video, one we haven't seen from 20 years ago. And they got into it pretty loudly, some cussing, some stuff like that happened. Press conference, right? So, but in that press conference, the lawyer said that his finances were a mess. He couldn't come up with the money. They were working to see what they could do to get out. So come Monday morning, he gets his bail posted, his bond posted. He's able to get out. Now, where it comes into play is there was a female that showed up to pay the $100K. And on all 4 of the bond slips, she says that she's just a friend of R. Kelly. Nothing more, nothing less. Turns out she's a restaurant ewner from Romeoville, Illinois, 47-year-old woman. There's a reporter by the name of Tia Ewing who was able to interview her, and she pretty much said that wasn't my money. R. Kelly is not broke. I'm not going to tell you where I came up with the money, but he's not broke. Okay, fine. We get it. He's not broke. I honestly think we are witnessing again one of the biggest falls from grace ever. Public. You're talking about an alleged sexual deviant who is out there doing just nasty things. and putting it out there, and to underage women at that. It's not right. It's not cool. R. Kelly's music hasn't been that good lately anyway, so number 2. So, Jussie Smollett. I kind of wanted to update this. We all know it's a big old case going on out there. Did he do it? Did he not do it? Is he the one who set it up? Did he not set it up? Are the brothers lying? Are they not lying? What was this check really for? So, the check actually came out, and you can see on the website what it looks like, signed by Jussie Smollett, for a 5-week workout program. $600 a week, plus an extra $100 for the meal plan, 3,500 bones. So the chief of the Chicago PD went on to Good Morning America and also referenced that there's some other evidence and stuff like that that hasn't been made public yet, because on the memo of the check, it does say what the check was for, which kind of puts a twist and a turn into this whole thing. We don't know how it's going to go down. We don't know what's true and what's not. We do know that Jussie Smollett is saying that he didn't have anything to do with it, that this is real, right? That these men showed up, beat him up, put a noose around his head, poured bleach on him, whatever. They're saying he paid us the $3,500 to make this happen because he wasn't happy with his salary for Empire. But the chief of the Chicago PD is saying that there's a lot more evidence that hasn't come out, that's not public yet, that would lead them to believe that this was a setup by him. Now, if that's the case, again, I think it's one of those things we handle at the time. I don't know which way I believe. I know in last week's video, I kind of put it out like, yo, of all the things you could do for attention, this wasn't it. But there's a lot of twists and turns here. And I think there's going to be some more stuff that comes out. And when it comes out more and more and more that he set this up, then we'll worry about it. If he didn't set it up and it's real, then we got a serious problem going on here in America. We know we do anyways. There's a lot of undertones out there, and it's getting crazy out here these days. So more to come on that. I kind of keep covering that every week just to let people know as stuff comes out. Number 3, what I want to talk about. Trump went over to Vietnam and met with Kim Jong Il, who is the dictator and the leader of North Korea. These two were supposed to sit down. They were supposed to talk about nuclear arms agreement and stuff like that. The world is hoping that North Korea will stop with this nuclear development so that it doesn't ever become a problem. We know about the threats and everything that they put out there. We know about all that, and we want to stay from all that. So talks happened. Eventually, it came to an end early. Trump left right away. Kim Jong Un took a train into Vietnam and stuff like that. He had a 2,000-mile trip where he didn't have a plane. He had to do all this other stuff, but Trump left pretty quickly. They called it early. They came to no agreement. Now, what's being said out there with that is that Kim Jong Un wanted all the sanctions that the world has on North Korea lifted, and then he would stop his nuclear race, apparently, to get through and do what he needs to do. We're not in a position to lift any of their sanctions yet. Kim Jong Un has not proven anything from the last meeting. All he did was he let the Americans that he had captive go, which is a great thing. But we still have Mr. Warm Bear out there who passed away, who came home in such a manner, sick, not knowing where he was, beat up, malnourished, missing teeth. For North Korea to say that they don't know anything about it, that they were concerned too, this and that, and for Trump to kind of praise Kim Jong Un's leadership as a human was kind of disrespectful to this family, and I feel for him. I really do. It's not right. I'm hoping that in the future we can handle North Korea. I do like the fact that we do have a sitting president who is willing to meet with him face to face. I'm not saying that I'm a Trump supporter. That's not at all what I'm saying. But what I am saying is that an elected official who is willing to meet with this guy and talk to him. We haven't had that in a long time. All these sitting presidents before that haven't wanted to do that. So we have that now. I'm curious to see what actually comes out of this. One of the things that I've been wanting to do too, also with part of this series, is talk about some new music coming out and stuff like that. Now, I'm a fan of R&B and hip hop. Those are my two main genres that I like. I'm a little bit old school when it comes to my hip hop and rap. I mean, I grew up in the 90s. I was a 90s kid. So that's when I really got introduced to hip hop and stuff like that. So I was alive during the whole East Coast, West Coast thing, and that was my type of style. I get into a lot of things. Couple notable releases this week that I want to talk about that I think are worth your time checking out if that's what you want to do. And I'll kind of give my little thoughts on them. Again, strictly my opinion.
These are just my opinion.
But here we go. So, Bone Thugs-n-Harmony released their album called Bone for Life. It's just Lazy, Crazy, and Wish. Now, Bone to me was Lazy, Crazy, Busy, and Wish. Those were the four main groups. I know when Flesh finally got out of prison, they brought him back into the mix, but they got a studio album just came out. It's just the three of them. There's no Busy. Busy is part of what made Bone, and this album here, Bone for Life, is kind of textbook Bone Thugs-n-Harmony. They talk about the street stuff. They talk about all that. It is textbook. It's not the greatest album I've ever heard. It's not the greatest album they've ever done. She released her fourth studio album called When I Get Home. It is full of mid-tempo, neo-soul type of beats to go along with her voice, which I do like. She's talking about some different things in this album. I definitely think it's one of the ones you want to check out. One of the big ones that's making waves out there, 2 Chainz, released his fifth studio album, Rapper Go to the League. And I think 2 Chainz is one of the most underrated hip-hop artists out there right now. He gets kind of put into this mumble rap thing a lot, and I don't think 2 Chainz is really mumble rap, and the album is actually really good. I've always liked the way 2 Chainz flowed, and he does his thing. So if you want to check out that 5th studio album, Rapper Go to the League, I think it's definitely worth it. Until next week, this is Street Talk. I'm your boy CB. If you like what I got to say, if you like what you hear, hit subscribe, hit the bell notification so that you get things when I upload, usually every week. Till then, I'm out. Peace.